organization, we'll be looking at the network and communication, right? So, in every organization, right, for us to perform our operations, we need the internet connection to be able to work, right? So, the internet connection can be a local connection, right, or can be it can it may be not a local connection, right? So here we're going to be learning what network, the introduction to network and telecommunication, right? So a network is a collection of interconnected devices that share resources and communicate with each other. So it includes computers, switches, routers, and more, right? And cables and so on and so forth. So you can see that most organizations work internally where each of their computers are connected, where they share information together, right? They share resources together, they share files together, right? And do all the business activities without actually going online. And that's what we're going to be learning here. We're going to be learning the types of networks that we have. While telecommunication has to do with the exchange of information over distance using technology like phones, satellites, and the internet, right? So the type of networks that we have is we have the local area network, we have the covers of small areas, like the local area network, the wide area network. We're going to be looking at that next. So let's look at the local area network. Now the local area network covers a small area like office or building. So it has high speed, right? So example is now, this local area network is, I'll give an example of, let's assume that we have an organization, right? And each of the computers, like I said before, are all connected, right? It can be um, maybe using cables, using RJ45, using RJ45 cables, and then it's meant to share resources like computers to connect together and then share resources and files in an organization based on that business activities, right? So you can see that example is office network connecting printers, computers, and storage. So the second one here we have the wide area network. So the wide area networks often uses leased line, satellite links, or internet connection. So this with the aid of this wide area network, I can be outside the office to communicate with my fellow staffs, right, or with my fellow friends outside the organization, right? It spans large geographical areas, so often you can see often uses lease line, satellite links, or internet connection, right? So the internet is the largest wide area network. So with the aid of these, right, I can be in my home and I can work from home. I can do any stuff from home, like share resources to staffs or share resources to my managers, maybe remotely outside the organization. But local area network cannot do that just within that particular just within the building, right? Within that environment. That's how local area network work, right? So let's look at the third type, which is a metropolitan area network. So it covers a city or campus, right? That connects multiple lands, right? So this is just more of like the bigger version of the local area network, right? So a good example is the university network across multiple buildings, right, where they make use of lands, right, local area network, but is in a large um, way, right, in a large way. So let's look at the other last one, which is personal area network, right? Okay, personal area network is a small scale network for personal devices like our Bluetooth and our Wi-Fi connections, where we share files using Bluetooth, we share files using our Wi-Fi connections. And one of the good example of software that uses the Wi-Fi connection is the Zender, right? So let's get this one, which is the virtual private network. Now securely connects remote users to organization network over the internet, right? Over the internet. Now, this is just a short lesson. We have understood the types of network that we have, right? Local area network, the wide area network, the metropolitan network, the personal area network, and then lastly the virtual private network, right? So let's look at the components, network components and organizations, right? So you can see that these are most of the components that we need. We need a server, which server is just like a computer that we uses. So it's a centralized system for data and application hosting, right? So there are some organizations that have a server like a computer where, let's assume, we all are in an organization and we are using just one application to do our job, right? Now, if you are running a local area network on that organization, let's assume that the application is stored on this server, right? So based on this, the connection, right, you can see that switches connect devices with a LAN, right? Switches, which is used to connect devices. When we have switches, we have router, which is direct data between different networks, right? And then firewall, which protect network from filtering unauthorized access. And then we have cables like the RJ45 cables, right? Or wire access point, which is a medium for data transfer. Now, all these components have been put in place, and the application software is being hosted on this server here, right? So within the organization, when we come with our system, right? So we can't run the web application software without the server, without because we are all accessing the application software stored in this local server, and we can all communicate together with the aid of these components here, right? So that is basically how most companies, especially most software companies, right? Like for example, one of the software companies I've worked in where we have a server, right? So our environment, which we use to design applications, are being stored on the server. So when I come with my system, right? When I come with my system, I can be able to connect to this server and then start building application. So it's more like I'm not actually building it and saving it on my own personal computer, but anything I do, we go directly to the server, right? Which the server can also be set in order to be accessed remotely, right? So using the wide area network where I can still work from home and then access the integrated development environment online and then work at home as long as the server is switched on, right? So that is how it works. So let's look at telecommunications in organization, right? So we have voice communication, which we make use of the telephones, right, and then voice over the internet protocol systems, right, IP systems. So we have teleconferencing, which allows multiple participants to communicate um, simultaneously. We have data communication, sending and receiving information like emails, documents, which we do almost every day in our daily activities, in our businesses, right? Messaging platforms, we have so many messaging platforms. And then collaborative tools like the Slack, right, and Teams and Microsoft Teams. So we have many of them. It's left for the organization to choose which one that is suitable for them. So now video communication, video conferencing like Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams. Now, these are all video conferencing apps that we use in our organization, right? So that enables real time interaction, right? So, mobile communication, employee access network via smartphones and tablets using mobile data or Wi Fi. So, let's look at the roles of network and telecommunication in an organization. So, the roles number one is improve communication, right? Where seamless communication through email, video calls, messaging, right? So resource sharing with centralized resource like database, printers, and storage. Collaboration, where we can collaborate using with the aid of that the web application softwares like the Microsoft Teams, the Google Meets, like Google Drive, where we share drives and project management platforms, right? So then the efficiency, you reduce travel expenses via virtual meeting, the remote work and enablement, right? So VPNs and cloud technology allow employees to work from anywhere. And security, securing communication channel against cyber threats is critical. So this is just a brief introduction of networks and telecommunication in organization, right? So we have some of the challenges here, which is security threats, scalability issues, and downtime. So security threat is risks like hacking, phishing, and malware attacks, right? So we have to be very careful, right, with this, right? So we have to be very careful in scalability issue because network must adapt to growth in users and data, right? Then the downtime is network failure can disrupt operation making redundancy essential. Please, I urge everyone here to be able to like revise the assessment questions for every slide in order to prepare for the exam. All right. So in the next lesson, we're going to be looking at more of the topics in computer in organization. So thank you and God bless you.